Better with Age. I'm your host, Lauren Lengyel, and with me in studio we have Claudette Braswell, or Claudie as she also goes by, and Susan Prevatt is also here with us. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm on cloud 9 right now. I get to talk about something I like a lot. So you're on the board of directors for the Polk Senior Games.
That's correct.
Okay, and you're a participant, and you're also a participant.
Yes.
So you guys are all in it. So tell me a little bit about the Senior Games, and if you can, sort of how it came to be.
Okay. This is our 25th anniversary. So we have been doing this in Polk County for 25 years. And every March, our opening ceremonies are always the last Saturday in February. And this is an Olympic-style competition that runs for 2 weeks. We have over 100 different events. I like to say we have everything from A to Z, but actually we have every sport from archery to weightlifting. Okay. And the venues for all these are scattered throughout Polk County, but everything takes place in the county. We have competitors from many, many states. You do not have to be a resident of Florida or Polk County to participate. You simply have to be over 50 years old. Last year we had approximately 2,500 people participate in these games, so they are huge. And there is an army of about 700 volunteers that run these games during those 2 weeks.
Does it get pretty competitive?
Some events, yes, get pretty competitive. We have very active things like everything from swimming to tennis to softball. We have team sports and individual sports. We have more that are kind of channeled towards a more sedentary person, kind of like checkers and chess and card games. There's a wide variety and just a whole lot of fun. The main purpose behind the Senior Games is to promote healthy living for our senior citizens, to promote friendships and relationships that are formed through the competition. It's just a whole lot of fun.
And before we move on to Claudie, tell me what events you participate in. I know it's quite a lot of them. So
well, I'll just give you the basics. I like the golf. There are several different events concerning golf. I do most of the field events in the track and field. I don't do many of the track. I saw a video of me running last year and I decided that was not a pretty thing.
It sounds like something I would do.
One of my favorites to do is Senior Smarts, which is kind of like a Jeopardy type challenge. Just a lot of useless trivia that's stuck in my head for many years, and that comes in handy sometime. I enjoy bag toss, which is kind of like cornhole, that name being trademarked, so we can't use it, so we call it bag toss. But it's just fun things. I do some basketball shooting, and those are my main ones.
And Claudie, you've got quite a long list of events you participate in also, don't you?
Yes, I compete in several events each year.
Tell me about them. Tell me
all those I did, and then fill in the other 100 of them that you did.
Oh boy. And these are your trophies. Some of them the medals belong to you, and then your trophies, and then yes. Some of these medals belong. So you all are very successful in your events.
We have fun.
Yes, we do.
I think it's pretty wonderful that you have all this. This is just a sample of what you actually have to show for your participation.
Thank you.
How long have you been participating?
I believe this is my 20th year. Okay. And I started with just a few events, some of the ones I thought I was a little better in, and then I began to train in other sports and added to the number of my sports each year.
What would you say is probably your favorite event?
I love horseshoes and I love basketball shooting. Almost all hand-eye coordination sports I like.
You were on one of the first basketball teams at your school when you were in high school, is that right?
I was.
And tell me how that happened.
Well, I went to one high school through my junior year, and that high school closed and we were sent to a brand new school, state of the art. The only thing was, at my old school, they had two women's sports, basketball and softball, and I competed in both. But the principal of our large county school system had been informed that girls didn't have the stamina to participate in sports. And so he took all of the women's sports out of the high school. I had played with boys sports all my life, and I knew that wasn't so. And I wrote an anonymous letter to the superintendent of schools explaining why this was not so and that this was unfair. But I was really a very shy person. I did not sign my name.
And I think that's okay.
And then the first day of school, the superintendent came to welcome us to our new school and told us how fortunate we were to be there, and then read my letter to the entire student body as I shrank in my seat, hoping no one knew what I was thinking.
That is an incredible thing to have happen to you. So I completely applaud you for the rest of us girls.
Thank you.
That that we're able to get out there and play, whether it's with each other or to play on a co-ed sports team or whatever it may be. And I understand that because of women like Claudie, you had an opportunity to excel in sports.
Well, very much so. Women like Claudie paved the way for my generation and then your generation also. I came along about the time of Title IX, which was legislated that women would have equal opportunity in sports as men did. So although sports were just starting to happen at the high school level when I came along, I was fortunate enough to be able to play volleyball and tennis in college. I went to a small college and played there. I have always been interested in athletics. My mom was a PE teacher just for a few years, and then I decided that was the direction that I wanted to go, major that in college, and then taught for 30 years in the Polk school system and a few years elsewhere and did some coaching. And now I decided when I was able to retire that it was now my turn to play.
Right.
So I just didn't want to give it up.
I don't blame you. Teaching everybody how to play, and then organizing and setting up the games and sportsmanship and friendship, and that's a huge lesson to teach.
And so many good life lessons from dealing in athletics. Learning to deal with disappointment, learning to deal with discipline, learning to follow rules and sportsmanship, like you said, and all those that I think are really important lessons for everybody to learn.
Which is why the best people ever are people who are athletes at heart. So
I agree.
All right.
So maybe I'm sucking up a little bit, and maybe I'm not.
No, I think you're just in our camp. So
because I really, man, you guys are fantastic. So let's talk about the senior games a little bit more. So what month or months?
Well, let me tell your audience that if any of them are saying, maybe I could do some of those, all they need to do is go online. We have a website at polkseniorgames.org. They can go on there. They can find all of Claudette's many records that are in there because we keep the records on there for several years. And coming up in the spring, like I said, well, I guess probably about the first part of February, our entry books will go out. And you can go online and put in your name for one of those, and we'll send you the entry form. You can see all the events that are listed. There is a slight charge, but it's very minimal.
Okay.
Some of the events like golf and skeet shooting have added fees for the supplies for that. Like for golf, you have to pay for the green fees. But most of the others are simply like a $3 entry charge, and there's a cap of about $27 if you want to enter everything. So it's very minimal expense. And we compete in 5-year age brackets. Most of the events are in 5-year brackets plus by gender, so the women are not competing against the men. And we welcome any and all, and if somebody wants to get involved as a volunteer, we would welcome them also.
Yeah, it takes quite a few to put on these games, right?
Our executive director is Dina Wilbur, and Dina runs an amazing organization. She was just inducted into the Polk County Sports Hall of Fame this year. And it's an amazing event. We start out with an opening ceremony, much like the Olympics. This year, by virtue of the fact that Claudie is the outstanding female athlete from last year's games, she will be one of the torch bearers to come in with the torch at the opening ceremonies.
Oh man, I want to see that.
And then we do 2 weeks of competition, and we have a big closing ceremony that's always at the Yuki Theater at the Lakeland Center.
Okay.
This being a 5-year increment, our 25th anniversary, our program will be a talent show from some of the competitors.
Well, that is all the time we have, but thank you both for being here. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
I think I was like 38, and I decided that I did not like housework. Wasn't crazy about kids, but I had 4 of them, right? We have to take care of them. But I found a place, in fact it was a workout place, they wanted $65 for a membership. And I think I just wanted to get out of the house. But I went over there and he wanted a mural painted. And I said I could do that. So a sheet of plywood and about $6 worth of paint, and I had a membership. So I think that started, and I found out how easy it was. It's truly a gift because it came easy for me. And so I just kind of elaborated on that and called myself an artist. I did I opened a shop because I was kind of crafty. On Dundee Road, I had the cinnamon tree and had 1 kiln, and so I fired ceramics and taught, and that was fun. And then Cypress Gardens found me there. In fact, Bill Sims had me come in and gave me the shop at Cypress Gardens. It was a pottery shop, and I had never done pots before, but I said I could do that. And I got a book, bought a book on how to be a potter, how to be a master potter, and 3 months later I had 5,000 pots. And we opened the shop at Cypress Gardens, and Bill said, we should name the shop. What do you want to call it? And I said, where is it? And he said, next to Heidi's Hoagie Hut. So I said, well, let's call it Patty's Pottery. So I just went from there. Then Publix actually found me at Cypress Gardens. And I was sitting behind the pottery wheel. Knew a little bit more then. And they said, we're doing tiles for Publix. And it was flamingo tile out of Lake Wales. They had a huge factory. Anyway, we played that little game for a little while. And then I got the entire job from Publix. And it was commission work. And I worked for them for 25 years with no contract, which meant I must have done the job. I was a commission artist, so I would turn in, I did 13 murals in, it took me about a week and a half to do each one. And when I turned it in, it bought my house on the lake. God gives us certain gifts, and most of us, even in your insecurities, sometimes you don't receive them because you want to be safe. And if you're safe, then you stay in a job forever. And I have never wanted to be in a job situation. My son passed in 2009. And when he found out he had cancer in 2007, I was working for Westgate Resorts and traveling around the company doing their murals, which was amazing. That was another God thing. And when it happened, you know, it just stops you. Life just sucks sometimes. So in 2009, when he passed, I felt like I was like King David. You know, when you grieve and you worry over things, and then all of a sudden you clean yourself up and get back on the horse. So I did some gardens for the church, and the church that he was in. And I didn't know anything about gardens. I went online, and for $150 I could be certified as a square foot gardenist. So I did that and put in gardens at the Methodist church, then the Lutheran church, then the Champions church. But I wanted to do it for his legacy, kind of. I think that we have choices, and your choice and my choice. Either we live a healthy lifestyle, or we don't. It's okay. So Edson, they signed me up. In fact, he did the tile work here because he was a tile man, you know, artist, tile man. And so Edson and Mr. Berto kind of embraced me, and I started working out. And then I got sick, and I do think that if I hadn't been working out for probably about 6 months or a year, and I'd just show up, and I'd do what they did and go home. But I do believe it saved me because I had developed a core of strength. And the doctors will push all these kind of medications on you, and I was in the hospital for a little while, but I do think I survived because now I call him my provider. When the doctors would say, "Who's your provider?" And I said, "Edson." He said, "What?" But I love new projects, and I finish them. I start from start to finish, especially with Edson. I said I wouldn't quit, and I'm not leaving. But it really makes a difference in your life. If you want to live a long time, you have to take care of this. I can't go get a new shiny one. Now my guts, my inside looks a lot better than my outside. But from the back, I look pretty good. And I can do the stadium steps and the track with these kids. So when you're talking about things that you can do, you can sit around and kind of whine about what you can't do. All the wealth in the world is not going to get us here. So I've got so much money in the bank. What good is it going to do me if I can't walk up to the teller and get it, or have somebody do it, or have somebody there feeding me pills or whatever it is? Anyway, I pushed all that aside, and I love it. I love what I'm doing here. And I never know my age, my true age, but every time I come here, they don't treat me any different. Edson doesn't come over and say, "Oh, take it easy." In fact, he came up one day and he said, "Ease up, Miss Patti." And I said, "Oh, good." He said, "I said knees up." I loved it. So I did, so I can keep up. And I read the book every morning. I have a Bible that I'm just in love with. I don't understand it. I'm a brand new Christian, but I do understand this. There's just 10 rules. You know, you treat people the way you want to be treated. And I will not follow him with the crowd because I think I have so much more to give. And if I live one more day, good. If I live one more week, great. If I live another 10 years, who knows? So I just attended my granddaughter's wedding on the beach. And I looked around and I thought, I could be dancing on that beach. And I could be dancing because of this. So we have this, just one, right? And I said that before. And if Berto said at the stadium, you'll get out of it what you put into it. So move. So I'm out here, and I put myself out here. I just created a team of we call it professional women on the go. And we call it the Green Team, but we spell it GRENETEAM instead of green. So I said, we get together, you say who you are, what you're currently working on, if you care to share it, and what your needs are. But most of it is service and volunteers. And I'll volunteer in a heartbeat. You know, sometimes you have to say no, but I love, it just gives me joy to do that. I get so much joy from serving over there, and even when we're finished, I'm not tired. So I believe it's what maybe it's your attitude. You make the decision to get up and do something, or you make the decision not to. And we are slowing down a little bit, but we don't have to slow down a lot. But I have my pilot's license, my security license, my real estate broker's license, and then I have a certified gardening, and I'm a potter, so, and a painter, and a gardenist. So who knows what we could do.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Welcome back to Better with Age. With me in studio, we have Ashley Miller, the Community Engagement Director at VISTE, Volunteers in Service to the Elderly. Ashley, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about what your role is at VISTE, and then let's dive into all of the many things that VISTE is able to do for our community.
Sure. Well, I am the Community Engagement Director, which means it's in the title. I'm trying to engage the community in what VISTE is doing and promote our brand and just share the VISTE story with as many people as I can. The opportunities to be a client and the services that we can provide, the opportunities to volunteer for folks to be able to give back to the community and help the elderly stay in their own homes, and also talk to those potential donors that want to give to help our programs so that we can continue to serve the aging population.
So if we can't find VISTE, it's all your fault.
That's true, that's true, but you'll be able to find us.
Okay, great. So I know that Volunteers in Service to the Elderly, I know it's a huge volunteer community of people, but what are the types of services and things that you actually do for the elderly?
Sure. Well, it's our mission to keep the frail elderly safe and independent in their own homes. And so our volunteers are providing services that do just that. To be a VISTE client, somebody needs to be 70 and older, and they need to live in Lakeland, Bartow, Fort Meade, or Mulberry. And so when anybody calls or inquires about becoming a client, we ask them those two questions. How old are you and where do you live? And as long as they meet those two requirements, we go out and we conduct a home visit them in their home, learn about them, and then they can become a VISTE client. And being a VISTE client means that you are eligible for some of the many services that we provide. And our number one service is transportation. When we were founded in 1983, there was a group of volunteers who saw a need in the community for people who were no longer driving their cars to get to and from doctor's appointments, the grocery store, pick up prescriptions, wherever they needed to go. And so they founded VISTE on that transportation program. Today we have 15 drivers who are on our staff. And so when somebody calls to get where they need to go, mostly medical appointments, they just need to tell us where they need to go and when, and then we send a driver out to them to get them to their destination. So we have a nutrition program that's twofold. The first part of that is what we call our supplemental grocery program. These boxes of food are distributed once a month. Either clients come to our building to pick them up, or they're delivered by a volunteer if that client can't drive. And these are non-perishable staples of your diet and often serve as a budget stretcher for those clients who at the end of the month, they don't have enough money to go back to the grocery store one more time and get what they need. Right. And so by providing this box of food, they have that extra money to pay the light bill, to pay the lot rent, to pay that prescription copay. And so that is a service that's income-based, and we look at that when we do the home visit and can determine if that's something that a client is eligible for.
What funds the materials, the food, and some of the operations?
First of all, individual donations. We have two main fundraisers every year. We write letters to our friends asking them to help us, and we also have a indoor golf event called VISTE Ball.
I may have heard of that.
Yes,
It's
which
quite popular.
is our annual fundraiser, and it's always held in February, the first Saturday in February. This year we're moving to the Lakeland Center, and so you'll be hearing more about that. But those two main fundraisers fund the majority of our programs. But we also receive funding from the United Way of Central Florida. We receive funding through the GiveWell Community Foundation and donors through the foundation, and also receive a great deal of in-kind donations. So we are receiving pallets of food from Publix every week, or folks who are doing canned food collections at their schools or churches.
Do you have a success story on the top of your head maybe that you could share with us?
Absolutely. You know, our hot meal program, like I said, is serving our most frail clients.
Right.
These are folks that aren't able to cook for themselves for various reasons, mostly health related. Maybe they can't stand for long periods of time, or they forget when they leave something on the stove. And we have had situations where a driver has gone to deliver a meal, and they're used to seeing that client sitting out on the porch, or they can see them through the window at the table waiting for that meal, and that client was not there. And so knock on the door, nobody answers, and we had a situation one time where that happened, and the volunteer tried to make contact with that client, called, knocked on the door, and they could hear inside this banging. And that client had fallen on the floor out of the bed and was wedged between the bed and the nightstand. And they knew the meal was coming, and they were banging on the floor of the mobile home, hoping that that driver would hear them. Well, they did, called 911, ambulance came, you know, had to get inside, and that client had fallen, had broken their hip, said that they had been laying there for several days. That's dehydration and speaking, because we had just been there with the hot meal 2 days before. But had that driver not been there to deliver that meal, we're not sure what would have happened.
Yeah, who knows how long they could have been lying there and without any attention.
They truly are a lifeline, and I believe that driver saved that client's life that day by being there with that hot meal.
Well, sure, and even if it's not a life-threatening situation, you save their spirit.
Absolutely, you're so right.
So, I mean, that's really important. So the other aspect, obviously, volunteers in service to the elderly. What are some of the criteria to be a volunteer? Is there a criteria?
Right. Well, willingness to serve and enthusiasm about helping others is number one. And to be a volunteer, we want you to come and join us for a volunteer orientation, and we do those several times a month. And we want that person to join us to learn more about our organization. So you might be out delivering hot meals, but we want you to know all of the other things that we do, so you know what to look for, and you know that we can help our clients
right,
with
so you can be a
things.
resource.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about, you know, just your internal team spreading the word. Everybody else can spread out the message and the ripple effect.
Yes. So we want them to fill out a volunteer application. They can do that by going online to our website at VISTE.org. And come to an orientation, come on a tour of VISTE, learn about us, and tell us, you know, what are you looking to do? How much time do you have? What days do you prefer? And it's our job to find the best fit for you. We want that volunteer to enjoy what they're doing, and we can really tailor those opportunities to what the volunteer has available. So we certainly encourage volunteers of any age to come and join us.
So you've got little guys and gals all the way up to seniors who have some extra time on their hands and are able to help out.
Absolutely, yeah. We actually have clients who want to give back to us because we've helped them, who are actually volunteering for us.
And I think that's the best thing you can hope for in an organization like that. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on Better with Age.